Hi, I'm Abigail from the CKF Foundation. Today, we're going to be reading 4 stories. The first story is The North Wind and the Sun. A dispute arose between the North Wind and the Sun, each claiming that he was stronger than the other. At last, they agreed to try their powers upon the traveler to see if which could soonest strip him of his cloak. The north wind had the first try, and gathering up all his force for the attack, he came whirling furiously down upon the man, and caught up his cloak as though he would wrest it from him by one single effort. But the harder he blew, the more closely the man wrapped it around himself. Then came the turn of the sun. At first, he beamed gently upon the traveler, who soon unclasped his cloak and walked on it, hanging loosely about his shoulders. Then he shone forth his full strength, and the man, before he had gone many steps, was glad to throw his cloak right off and complete his journey more lightly clad. Persuasion is better than force. The next story is The Woman and the Doctor. An old woman became almost totally blind from a disease of the eyes after consulting a doctor, made an agreement with him in the presence of a witness that she would pay him a high fee if he cured her, while if he failed, he was to receive nothing. The doctor accordingly prescribed a course of treatment, and every time he paid her visit, he took away some article out of the house, until at last, when he visited her for the first time, the cure was complete. There was nothing left. When the woman saw that the house was empty, she refused to pay him his fee. After repeated refusals on her part, he sued her before her magistrates for payment on her debt. On being brought into the court, she was ready with her defense. "The claimant," said she, "has stated the facts about our agreement correctly. I undertook to pay him a fee if he cured me, and he, on his part, promised to charge nothing if he failed. Now, he says I'm cured, but I say I am blinder than ever, and I can prove what I say. When my eyes were bad, I could at any rate see well enough to be aware that my house is contained with a certain amount of furniture and other things. But now, when according to him I am cured, I'm entirely unable to see anything there at all." Our third story is The Good and the Ills. There was a time in the youth of the world when goods and ills entered equally into the concerns of men, so that the goods did not prevail to make them altogether blessed, nor the ills to make them wholly miserable. But owing to the foolishness of mankind, the ills multiplied greatly in number and increased in strength. But it seemed as though they would derive the goods of all and all share in human affairs and banish them from heaven. The latter, therefore, betook themselves to heaven and complained to Jupiter of them from the earth. The latter treatment they had received at the same time, praying him to grant him protection from the ills, and to advise them concerning the manner of their intercourse with men. Jupiter granted requests for protection and decreed that the future they should not go among men openly in a box, so be liable to attack from hostile ills, but singly and unobserved at unexpected intervals. Hence it is that the earth is full of ills, for they come and go as they please, and are never far away, while goods, alas, come one by one only, and have to travel all the way from heaven, that they are very seldom seen. Our last story is The Slave and the Lion. A slave ran away from his master, by whom he had been most cruelly treated, and in order to avoid capture, betook himself into the desert. As he wandered about in search for food and shelter, he came into a cave which he entered and found to be unoccupied. Really, however, it was a lion's den, and almost immediately, to the horror and unwrenched fugitive, the lion himself appeared. The man gave himself up for lost, but to his utter astonishment, the lion, instead of springing upon him and devouring him, came and fawned upon him, at the same time whining and lifting up his paw. Observing it to be much swollen and inflamed, he examined it and found a large thorn embedded in the fall of the foot. He accordingly removed it and dressed the wound as well as he could. In course of time, it healed up completely. The lion's gratitude was unbounded. He looked upon the man as his friend, and they shared the cave for some time together. A day came, however, when the slave began to long for society of his fellow men, and he bade farewell to the lion and returned to town. Slaves began to long for here. He was presently recognized and carried off in chains to his former master, who resolved to make an example of him and ordered that he would be thrown into the beast at the next public spectacle in the theater. On the fatal day, the beasts were loosed into the arena, and among the rest a lion of huge bulk and ferocious aspect, and then the wrenched slave was cast among them. With the amazement of the spectators' aspect, when the lion, after one glance, bounded up to him and lay down at his feet with every expression of affection and delight. It was his old friend from the cave. The audience clamored that the slave's life should be spared, and the governor of his town, marveling at such gratitude and fidelity in the beast, decreed that both should be received their liberty. Hope you enjoyed the story. Bye.